Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Gained Ashura's Memories, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The sun was just barely above the horizon, but the Namika's apartment was already full of life. Inside the house, two shadow clones of Naruto were preparing breakfast. The brothers were already outside, going off their warm-up spars and target practice. Shiro sprawled in the shade of a tree, watching them and munching his meat, which Sasuke had given him before they'd started. Naruto smirked, avoiding his brother's kick and delivering his own strike. Sasuke tried avoiding the chakra-laced punch, but he proved slow, and despite his effort, the blow connected, not where the blonde had intended, but since it was laced with chakra, it still sent the Sharingan user flying backwards. Sasuke flipped in the air, landing unsteadily, his back pressed against the wooden fence of the house. He winced a bit, as he tried moving his right arm. Chakra-laced punches and medical knowledge were not a good combination. He could see why the Shodai and Tsunade were hailed for their taijutsu prowess. "This round's mine," his brother said with aggron. Sasuke chuckled and stood up. "Yeah, it is. But I won the previous one and the first round had been at tea, so we're equal." He walked over to the blonde, who immediately noticed how awkwardly he held his shoulder. "We are." Naruto agreed. "Now, let me have a look at that. Can't have you injured, can we?" Sasuke didn't even comment. It was the usual routine. They'd spar and try to break each other's bones, and at the end, Naruto would patch him up. By then, Kurama would be working on Naruto's own injuries, and once Naruto was done with him, he'd direct his chakrasa to help the grumpy Biju brother. "We should speak with Kurama," Sasuke said quietly, mindful of someone being nearby. The villagers no longer troubled Naruto, but they still had Anbu around, constantly checking in. They were the last of the two founder clans, and Konoha would not risk losing them to enemy shinobi. By now, both him and Naruto greeted the Anbu on personal level. The only thing they didn't know were the names, but that was how it's supposed to be, so they never pried. Knowing Yamato and Kakashi was different. Naruto blinked at him, but the green healing chakra didn't waver. "Huh, why would you say that?" Sasuke closed his eyes for a moment. "We're trying to set things right, aren't we? We can't do that when our siblings hate, it's not right. I know that once I had a different with of them, but it was not right. We're family." I scoffed on the Sannin for not knowing what family is like, leaving you behind, but we did the same. We left the 9 of them behind, Ototo. They may never forgive my betrayal, and I would understand Kurama the most, rarely, but they should not leave you. Naruto's hands dropped, done with the healing, and he smiled. "Then, come and let's speak with him." Kurama was jolted to full awareness when Ashura and Indra appeared, or Naruto and Sasuke, as they went by now, not that he could get used to calling the two Otsutsuki by such weak, mortal names. Because no matter their faults and the be they'd left in their wake, Kurama respected power. And his two human brothers had power in spades. "Kurama ni sama," they greeted, as respectful as ever. Kurama swissed his tails irritably. A part of him could believe that Ashura meant the respect in his tone, but Indra was too detached, too arrogant and cold. To Indrato mean the respect that seemed to color his tone. Kurama scoffed mentally. Even now, when he was behind bars, when the two claimed to work on rectifying their mistakes, Indra was mocking him. "Ashura, Indra," he growled. "Why seek me now?" Ashura arched a blonde eyebrow. Gods, it was so annoying to see his brother being a tiny clone of the nuisance Senju, who'd imprisoned him that night. Of course, it was only appearance and genetics, but it was bothersome anyway. "Can't we come to visit our own brother?" Ashura asked. "Don't tell me you've become a recluse over the decades so much that even when someone offers friendly company, you would rather be alone. It's hard to read you these days," he huffed. "Your ancestors, descendants, whatever, were anything but kind to me. It is due to your latest transmigrants that I'm sitting behind these bars today, so excuse me if I'm skeptical of your motives." "You can't tell, you say." Indra spoke, his tone just a touch scratching, "but that's Ali, because you were always capable of telling others' feelings. You just don't want to see that we are honest, because it is easier to it, is it not? Kurama growled, inching closer to the bars and releasing a blast of K intent. To his disappointment, neither of his brothers even seemed to notice his chakra. Oh, look who's speaking, traitor. He has long repented for his mistakes. Ashura said quietly. We stand side by side now. Just as I had promised Oto-sama on his D. It promised him there would be a day when Indra and a world stand side by side, just like when we were children. This is that time. Kurama flashed his teeth at the Sharingan user. How can you be so sure? What's the guarantee he will not use his eyes against me, like Madara and the masked F had done? Ashura huffed. If you look at the things from that angle, then my chains and Mokuton can also be used against you, as my great-uncle and great-aunt had done, the blonde's violet eyes, so much like Kushina's yet so different, narrowed on him. Let us not continue this poisonous sickle, Kurama. This is a different life. Let us work together, for the betterment of this world, as Oto-sama would have. Kurama almost caved in. Ashura was very good when it came to speaking. He could understand how Hashirama had gotten so many to fall in step with him. The tree hugger, literally. Seciously, that moron was the embarrassment of the entire Otsutsuki line, had the same uncanny ability to convince others, as Ashura. Perhaps it was the similarity between Hashirama and Ashura, why his capture and sealing had hurt so much. The Senju had been like his brother, yet humanless brother. But now, his brothers stood in front of him, in all the glory. Their appearance was different, but the water of the lake reflected the previous appearance. Familiar brown hair and eyes and the powerful presence. The presence, the power only an Otsutsuki could ever hope to possess. And these two possessed it. They were an Otasura and Indra, yet they were Ashura and Indra. Reincarnation was odd like that, especially if those involved remembered the life they were not supposed to, like now. But, could he trust them? Could he trust Indra after all that had happened? He looked at them. Asura's violet eyes were hopeful, pleading with him to listen. Kurama's red eyes shifted and he was met with pitch black gaze, pitch black, like Madara's had been, before the Sharingan burned in it. And then, suddenly, the most unexpected thing happened. Indra bowed to him. The Suki no Urashi had never been the one to openly show respect to others, only those stronger than him, and there had been only two people stronger than Indra. Their father and uncle. Ashura didn't count, as he'd come to his power gradually, and by the time the brothers' power was in the same range, Indra was too far gone to care for anything but revenge. Gomen nasai, ni sama. Ik know that my actions had brought suffering to you and the others. I cannot take those actions back. But I can make sure things like those won't happen again. He raised his gaze again. And I can hope that in the future, all 11 of us can stand together as family. To show the world what was the true legacy Oto-sama had left behind. To show them what peace and coexistence is, untainted by mistrust and hate. Kurama stared at Indra in shock. Cold, prideful Indra had bowed to him and apologized. Was he caught in a genjutsu again? And, was that regret, which he was feeling from his older human brother? We're sorry, Kurama. Ashura whispered softly, his voice thick with tears. They meant it. As shocking it was to him, after years of hate and mistreatment, his brothers were right in front of him and they meant their words. Kurama shifted his position and looked at the two tiny humans in the eyes. So tiny compared to him, yet with enough power under the fragile exterior to level mountains and carve valleys. Those were his brothers, fragile yet powerful. More powerful than the humans of present day could comprehend. You are forgiven, he said slowly. Indra's gaze found his, a spark of hope in his bottomless eyes. You too, Indra, were family after all, no. Indra's stance eased and a small smile made its way to his lips. Old, stoic Indra, still it seemed, while Asura's face was split by a grin, and suddenly, the seal seemed 10 times brighter and warmer. Ashura leapt over to him, his little body pressed against his much bigger one, in what Kurama guessed was a hug. Kurama chuckled at the energetic ball of sunshine, that was his youngest brother. Ashura hadn't changed one bit, since that last time. The kitsune shifted his gaze and found Indra lingering in his spot, fondly smiling at the blonde. He huffed and made a gesture with one of his tails. Indra seemed shocked, and a part of Kurama thought he might decline and scoff, as he used to, but instead, he calmly walked over and hugged him too. Well, him and Ashura as well, while Ashura still kept clinging to his fur. Kurama huffed and curled his body around the two humans. Arigato, Kurama. Indra murmured. Did he Hartiasan the Sharingan use his voice? No, it was just his imagination. Indra was way too proud to cry, and even if headed, he cried where no one could see. It's good to have you two back, he admitted at last. It's good to be back. Indra returned, far less hesitant than Kurama would have thought he'd be. Together again, Ashura murmured. Like a family. Yeah, Ototo. Kurama chuckled. Let the other 8 sue him for it, but it was nice, having his brothers back, cute and innocent again. And it was even nicer, that they were hugging him. Indeed, it was almost like so long ago. Are you watching, Oto-sama? We'll take care of each other this time, like you've told us to. I promise. Meanwhile, all across Konoha, like Kakashi, Yamato, Jiraiya and several other Anbu, and even some people outside of the village, a pair of Uchihas and a snake Sannin, to be exact, all had a sudden dreadful shiver. It would be much later, that they would figure out the reason for it. No one, who's ever hurt something, or someone, precious to the infamous Kyuubi, has ever survived to tell the tale. And the Kyuubi has let go of his hate and promised to the father to take care of his 2 non-Biju siblings. And take care of them he would, even if it meant demolishing something with Afali Chaged Bijudama. Kurama was not human, but he was an Otsutsuki, and Otsutsuki took care of their family, no matter what. The blonde frowned, as the jutsu failed yet again. Goddamn it, this is my own jutsu. Ik know how to form it, so why in the name of the Rikudodo ain't it work? What doesn't work, Ototo? His brother asked, opening his eyes. Naruto felt a bit bad for disrupting his meditation, but his life depended on this. Okay, maybe not, because his life normally depended on the amount of ramen he consumed, but this was a close second. Amanomi Hashira, he grunted. I can't form it properly. The outer layer gets created, but then before I cold finish, the chakra flow gets disrupted. He grunted. It's so annoying. Naruto saw his brother wince a bit at the technique's name, and he almost felt bad. He remembered that Amanomi Hashira had been one of his greatest accomplishments, and at one point, when he'd been using their Biju siblings' chakra in tandem with his own, the jutsu had crippled Indra's perfect Susanoo, which was no small feat. You don't just forget though to perform one of your own creations, the Uchiha pointed out. You should be able to do it. Naruto snorted. Keyword, ni. I think, ik know the answer, to why you keep failing, Ototo. Kurama's voice rumbled into their minds. Now that they'd made up, the fox had created a permanent mental link between the 3 of them, using his chakra and the remnants of their ancient, Otsutsuki chakra. It was convenient, because this way, as long as they were within a certain distance, Sasuke could hear the fox just as clearly as the Jinchuriki. Sasuke arched an eyebrow. Now, I'm also interested in the answer. It's because my chakra leaks into your body irregularly, tarnishing your chakra control. Your control is very good, but considering the complex nature of Amanomi Hashira, it's not enough, because you need truly perfect control for it. Naruto groaned. Oh, F it, how the hell could we deal with this? You either shut me off completely or you change the seal. I'm not saying you release it, because your still growing body would not be able to withstand the strain, Otsutsuki descendant and transgrant or not. You just have to change it a bit. Say, remove the Shinigami's hold, because the god himself had left a trace of his power in your body, as per the contract of Theshiki Fujin. It's because of that chakra, that mine is so wild. If you changed the seal, the contract would be void and my chakra could flow better. It might even be easier, since I kind of let go of my grudges and we really work together now. The 2 brothers shared a look. Sounds like Aplan, the blonde grinned. His brother huffed. You don't have Thiki, Ashura, he deadpanned. Naruto blinked owlishly. What? Sasuke rolled his eyes. Your seal is possibly the most complex one a Jinchuriki ever had on their body bar the Jubi's seal, but that's a completely different category, since Oto-sama's Rinnegan was somehow involved. This means, you can't just sit down and scrawl something together, to open it. You could do it, but since the Shinigami was involved, messing up the seal could kill you. In short, you need the key which your father had written. The blonde's cry of frustration could be heard all across Konoha. While the boys were preoccupied with training and meditation, Yamato and Kakashi had just finished their well-deserved relaxation and both of them were ready to return to their duties as senseis. After all, there were still the exam finals to deal with, and while the boys had been good, no screech that, the boys had performed fabulously. So, while the boys had performed fabulously, the finals were an entirely different thing. More so, since Sasuke would have to face a half-mad Jinchuriki. Having seen Gaara's condition, both Yamato and Kakashi thanked every single kami they could name, for Naruto's parents' knowledge in seals. Having a half-mad QB host, was terrifying even to imagine. Their thoughts were interrupted by a loud burp. The two ex-Anbu shared a look and inched closer to the stall, from where the sound had come. There, sitting on a stool they found Jiraiya of the Sannin, drinking like there was no tomorrow. Yamato raised an eyebrow in silent question, as he nodded towards the white-haired Tsunade with drinking problems. Kakashi, she was. Yamato made a vague what about him. He seems to have picked up his teammate's habit. Kakashi's eye narrowed, as he threw a look at Jiraiya and then nodded towards the general reaction of the Namikaze. No idea, but the bastard should be with Naruto, as his godfather and not here, drinking right next to a bathhouse. He was probably more interested in women, than in his own godson. Yamato frowned and looked at the Hokage mountain and then back at his kid. Yondaime-sama trust him to be Naruto's godfather. He's a strong shinobi, but seems irresponsible, when it comes to family. Kakashi rolled his visible eye with a barely noticeable frown under his cloth. Me about it. I want to give him a piece of my mind. With their conversation done, not that anyone, who had seen it, would call the glances and gestures a conversation, the two men approached the Sannin. Kakashi cleared his throat and Jiraiya looked up. Ah, Kakashi. Long time no see, slurred the Toad Summoner. Long time indeed, he said ominously. And then, on a random impulse, Minato-sensei would not be happy with him, but Kushina would probably cheer him on, and he was doing this for Naruto anyway. He gave a strong right hook to the man. Strong enough to send him flying from his seat. The few, who were present, the owner included, all looked up in shock at seeing him punch a Sannin. As Jiraiya stood up, Kakashi glared and released a wave of intent. Where the hell you were all this time? He growled out. Naruto is your godson, Kami, damn it. Minato-sensei trusted you to keep an eye on him. And what do you do? The moment Sandaime-sama brings him back from the ceiling sight, Yurin, like a coward. The Sannin flinched, suddenly all too sober. Kakashi. I might have joined Anbu after they the Jonin continued, but at least I kept my promise to Sensei and Kushina-san. It was, after all, among his guards most of the time. He didn't know my name and face, but he knew Icard. He knew my chakra, because he's a goddamn Zensa prodigy, and he knew that whenever I and my squad were around, he could sleep with both of his eyes closed. When it took them as my genin, he almost knocked me off my feet, happy to see me, because he knew it was among the few who cared. Jiraiya flinched, looking like a scolded child, and Kakashi felt a spark of satisfaction. He looked so much like the two of them, the older man murmured. And he's even more like them now. Kakashi bit back, and it's something to be proud to you, though. Jiraiya looked as if he'd physically hit him, but the overprotective part of him overruled the rational part, so he didn't mind. The bar was so silent, that one would hear even a pin drop. I'm sorry, the Sannin murmured. Seems like eviled you, huh? Heck, eviled Minato and Naruto too. Yet, you're still here, drinking instead of speaking with your godson. Yamato pointed out with a glare, his tone cold enough to freeze over a fireball. Jiraiya sighed and rubbed his face. Sarutobi-sensei told me where a wold find Naruto. I sought him out, and after he told him who it was, he turned his back to me. Then, his brother literally kicked me out of Namika's property, saying he'd signal the ANBU, if I didn't leave. Kakashi wasn't so surprised, when he heard that. Him and Yamato were both kinda protective of the boys, it was something unspoken in the village, but Sasuke was on a completely different sort of protective. Heck, I'd imagine the Uchiha threatening the Sannin, especially if Jiraiya had upset Naruto, and since the man wasn't for subtlety in things, that didn't involve shinobi business, well, he'd probably dumped being Naruto's godfather on the boys, and in the process, his students had lost it. And now it can't even approach him, the man huffed. Kakashi quirked an eyebrow. How come? Urushiha student was in a bad mood, after I left. He sought the Hokage and consented Sarutobi-sensei, that Naruto's emotional turmoil places extra, unnecessary strain on the seal. So, I've been banned from seeing Naruto for now, and on top of that, the Uchiha's summons, wolves, I think, circle the estate and I can't approach because the entire pack would attack me. Kakashi and Yamato shared a half amused, half surprised look. Considering how protective those two are of each other, Yamato said, this, or something like this was to be expected from Sasuke. And would the situation be reversed, I'm sure Naruto would act like this, too. More like overprotective, if you ask me, the Sannin grunted. Kakashi hummed. Yeah, they are. He turned away. Come on, Yamato. Better visit the boys now. What? Kakashi, you can't just leave me here. Kakashi looked back at the older man. I can and I will. Considering Sasuke's request and the Hokage's approval, I can leave you here. But, Jiraiya was see off as a loud, frustrated, and familiar cry echoed through the village. Every single citizen froze for a second, seeking the source of the voice. Kakashi and Yamato shared a knowing look. That voice was unmistakable. Naruto, they said in sync, a light note of panic creeping into their tones. Sasuke expected many things from their senseis. He did not expect, however, the utter and complete panic in their faces, as they sped into Namika's territory. His summons must be doing their task well, if Yamato's backwards glance was any indication. What happened? Yamato asked. Naruto, are you okay? That was Kakashi. Both of them were tense, totally panicked, as they looked at his brother. We heard your shout. Naruto sat up and sighed. Yes, I'm fine. Well, mostly. Mostly? Yamato asked skeptically. Naruto grunted. Oto-san's seal messes up my chakra control. It would need some modifications. If it keeps messing up my control, it can finish the jutsu I've been working on. That's why you've been shouting loud enough for even the Reikage to hear. Kakashi asked with a sweet drop. The Uzumaki huffed. At Saniying, you need perfect chakra control for many things, sensei, and it can do it, because Oto-san just had to use the one and only seal, which would mess up my control. And it can't even hope to modify the thing, because a would need the key, since the Shinigami had been called upon. And I've no clue where a freaking key is. Sasuke saw it, the shock and horror mixing on their sensei's faces, as Naruto mentioned modifying his seal. Times like this, he would have liked telling the two men, what they really were. Maybe then, they would worry a bit less. Maybe one of these days they should tell them. Just Kakashi and Yamato, no one else. It would help a lot. The two Jonin shared an unsure look. There may be someone, who knows where the key is and might even help with your problem. Yamato said hesitantly. Naruto couldn't help, but scowl as his godfather approached, flanked by two of his brother's summons. Naruto, the man greeted with Anad, his face much more serious, than when they'd met. Jiraiya, he greeted in a measured tone. He was still displeased with the Sannin leaving him behind, but he could deal with that later. He needed the man's cooperation for now. Sasuke nodded to his summons. Thank you for your aid. You are dismissed. Take the pack with you, please. The two wolves wordlessly bowed to Sasuke and nodded to him, before disappearing in plumes of white smoke. A while later, he also heard several other poofs, signaling the entire pack's departure. Naruto's gaze shifted, once the wolves were gone, back to the Sannin. He saw Sasuke glare at the man and Jiraiya flinched, averting his gaze. I'm sorry, the Sannin said. I shouldn't have left the way I had. I should have done something. Yes, you should have. Naruto in. His sharp tone caused the man to hiss. But it is the past, and if I keep wondering about what could have been, I will drown in bitterness and forget to live the life I already have. So, I will not wonder what life would have been if you weren't a coward. He took a deep breath. I need the key. The Sannin blinked at him. What? I need the key of Thihak Fuin. A trigram seal, he repeated again, tone sharper. Look, kid. Naruto glared. I'm not a kid and I'm certainly not your kid Sannin, so do not treat me as such. I repeat my request again, so you will clearly understand. I need the key of the seal Oto-san has created. Naruto it's. Now, Sannin, he said again, eyes narrowing. If you do not wish to comply with my request, then please leave. Why do you need the key? The man asked at last. Naruto sighed. Oto-san and Oka-san did a fine job with the seal. However, the way it had been designed makes it impossible for me to refine my chakra control, which means I cannot use certain techniques. Which is, quite frankly, annoying, he huffed. The seal needs certain modifications. If those are done, there will be a chase for my control to improve drastically. And while the seal itself would be a margin weaker, it does not mean the fox would find a way out of it. My Mokuton and chakra chains create extra layers on the original seal, stopping the Biju from even communicating with me, useless I want to see, or hear him myself. Admittedly, I had slipped in the forest of D, but the Mokuton and chakra chains did their work. There isn't even a crack on the original seal, despite the release of 3 tails. Jiraiya couldn't help but gape at the blonde before him. Was this Minato and Kushina's son? This composed, powerful because heck, the kid surely had powerful chakra, along with the Uchiha, intelligent and aristocratic child was his godson. The intelligence wasn't so surprising. Minato was a genius, in his own way. But Naruto was nothing like Minato. He was nothing like Kushina, either. Yet, he was like both of them at once. How could that be? The point was, that the intelligence was expected, in a way. The aristocratic behavior and the commanding presence on the other hand, were new. And gods be good, the kid spoke like someone from the Warring States era would have. Andoto-san. Minato was surely crying in the afterlife, if he could hear how their son addressed both him and Kushina. Neither of them were ones for formalities, after all, and especially not within family. Naruto quirked an eyebrow. Well, Sanin. Jiraiya grunted. He could never deal with the aristocrats. Combat. Infiltration. Assassination. Fine, he'll have it done in no time. Politics and dealing with nobility. Hell, no. And Kami, as well as Kakashi and Yamato, were his witnesses, that the blonde in front of him was noble in every way. Hell, if only he changed clothes, Jiraiya was sure the blonde would feel right at home in a daimyo's court. Fine, he sighed. We'll have a look at the seal. I'll help with your chakra control. And then, if we're already speaking about control, I might even teach you a jutsu. One of Minato's favorites, deal. If possible, Naruto quirked that eyebrow even more, it was so freaking annoying. Was the kid from the Warring States era awesomething? Someone his age had no right to be so composed and aristocratic. He should be a bouncy, hyperactive, knowing Kushina child, disturbingly addicted to ramen and sweets. We'll see what that technique is. Because if you're saying Harashin, I will decline. That needs a sort of finery in Fuinjutsu along with extensive knowledge of space-time theory. I may know something of seals, but space-time theory and the limitations and dangers of such jutsu, I'm unaware of. Is he even a 12-13-year-old, recently graduated rookie? I silly feel like speaking with Sarutobi-sensei instead. But, no, not even sensei is so composed. During negotiations, yes, but not on a daily basis, the man thought. The Sanin grunted. Yes, whatever. Now, do you want to have a look at that seal, or not? Naruto finished the sealing circle with a huff and offered the brush to Sasuke. You know what's the missing character, right, Ni-sama? Sasuke nodded. Of course. Now sit down. I'll activate it for you. The others are last chance support, if this fails. Naruto frowned. Don't say that. Sasuke shrugged and activated his Sharingan. Seeing his eyes at the ready, Naruto sat in the middle of the array. Jiraiya had checked it, JSUT to be sure. The man had admitted that it would hold, but Naruto could see it. The curiosity, he had never seen this seal and was curious how it worked and from fairy did know it. Naruto settled and nodded to his brother. Go along. Sasuke drew the last missing symbol and then flared his chakra and his hand on the outer rim of the matrix. Sharingan Fuin, Gokakuke Shoheiki. Copy wheel eye seal, pentagonal barrier. Naruto couldn't help but wince in pain, as the jutsu took effect and he was forcefully pushed into his own mind. For a moment, the sinking feeling and spinning darkness disoriented him, even making him a bit sick. But soon, the feeling was gone and he stood firmly on his own. As Naruto blinked, he found himself in front of Kurama. The fox stood slowly, watching him with a mix of confusion and wariness. Asura-kun. Relax, Kurama, he said. We're redoing your seal. This will go and for Abbott, we'll be separate. You'll land in the outside world, trapped with my body. Ni-sama's holding that seal. Once I'm done, I'll bring you back here. He channeled some chakra into his hand, making the shiki of the ki appear on his arm, his fingers burning with small, bluish-green flames chakra. He s his hand on the seal on his stomach and twisted his fingers. I see. And then there was a flash. Kurama couldn't help but snarl, when his eyes fell on the human. The white-haired bastard was all too familiar from Kushina's memories, as well as the recent drama, surrounding his return to the village. It was that old flashback's fault, why Ashura had been so upset in the past few days. So when he saw the man, he couldn't help but snarl and pounce. Considering how humanity knew him now, as a destructive, malevolent force of nature, it wasn't even so out of character, he guessed. The annoying, white-haired flashback, whose name he didn't even bother remembering, took a step back, watching him with worry. Sadly for Kurama and luckily for the flashback, Ashura's seal was way too well made to be broken. Besides, Indra was powering the seal, so even if he tried breaking Theshiki, his brother would just use his Sharingan to place him to sleep. As per their agreement, Indra would not attempt such a thing, only if Kurama forced him to. Now, stay inside. Indra admonished. Kurama snarled, swissing a few of his tails at the white-haired one. What is that flashback doing here? Overseeing the redesign of your seal, the older Otsutsuki answered. Uzumaki are more than enough qualified for such things. Besides, as annoying as it is, Mokuton does have a few tricks too. Not to mention you, he huffed, pacing the available space of the seal, circling Asura's unmoving physical body. Indra rolled his eyes. I don't have enough chakra yet, to do what Madara had done. Hence, why I need Ototo's seal as a medium to keep you here. And he has enough chakra. Indra hummed and gave Asmal, amused smirk. I'm not supposed to answer that. Besides, your senses are much better than a human's. You can tell yourself. Kurama stopped to stare down the only Sharingan user, whose presence he was willing to stand. Are you mocking me, mortal? Indra arched an eyebrow, his smirk still in place. I don't know. Am I? Kurama wanted to huff and settle next to his brother. Now that Indra was himself again, free from outside influences, his chakra was back to being that warm prickliness he'd always liked. Asura's was cool and calming, while Indra's was hot and energizing. The seal was warmer, since Asura made efforts, but it was nowhere near as warm as Indra's chakra. And right now, Kurama could use this temporary change in his size and just curl comfortably in Indra's lap, while his brother passed his time with reading. Instead, he growled darkly, as he had to play the cold, grumpy, I hate humans demon the world knew him as. It was frustrating. He hoped Asura would be done soon. Cat got your tongue, Kitsune. Kurama's eyes narrowed and he released some intent. He knew that Indra was riling him for the sake of appearances, but mentioning Matatabi really soured his mood. Watch your mouth, human. Or what? The shiki holds. Kurama couldn't help it. He raised a paw and bared his claws at his brother's face, only for the seal to freeze him mid-move, as Indra flared his chakra. Kurama swissed his tails wildly and growled. Damn you Asura. You and your creativity with these freaking seals. Oto-sama should have never taught you those basics. Indra's red eyes flashed with barely contained laughter, as if he read his thoughts. Now, wasn't that strange? Cold, stoic Indra laughing. Was the world ending? Naruto grinned down at the 12-cornered seal, which he'd made on the floor of his mindscape. This should be strong enough to hold Kurama, while giving both him and his fox brother more chance to direct the chakra flow. Sure, this one would drain some of Kurama's chakra too, but it would be minimal, just to form a link between the two of them. When he was sure the matrix was flawless, he bit his hand to draw some B and ran off the 26 hand seals for the technique. Ninshu, Fuinjutsu, Juni Kaku Seiden. Ninja Creed, Sealing Technique, 12-cornered altar. As the seal lit up in a mix of blue and green, the blonde allowed himself to feel triumphant. Then, he raised his free hand in a half-ram, to form his chakra chains, which hot upwards, out into the real world to reach for Kurama. Sasuke perked up, when he saw the chains manifest from Naruto's abdomen and wrap around Kurama. Seems our time together's see short, he commented offhandedly. Kurama glared darkly at the golden chains, no doubt reminded of how Mitohime and Kushina had dealt with him over the years, as they dragged him back into Naruto. Not again, he whined, very uncharacteristically. Of course, to anyone else, who didn't know the nine the way him and Ashura did. The whining was more like angry shouts and ackle for B. Soon, the seal appeared on his brother's body, the previous Uzumaki-like swirl changing completely into two concentric rings, made by 6 magatama each. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Which seal had his brother used? Then, as the seal slowly stopped glowing, Sasuke released the containment seal, and the moment he took his hand off of the seal, his Sharingan faded. He felt light-headed from all the chakra use. Just a few more minutes of pawing the seal and he would have been out cold with chakra exhaustion again. Done. Naruto murmured triumphantly, raising the hand which hadn't been visible, due to his position. The key. Secure it. Sure. Sasuke murmured, as he watched the blonde pass out again. Jiraiya studied the key of Naruto's new seal with interest. The kid was a genius, even better than his father. From the patterns, it was clear as day that the seal his godson had used was part of the famed Uzumaki seals. Not of the 8 trigrams style, this was much more advanced, but it was Uzumaki work without question. Sealing technique, 12-cornered altar. As Jiraiya studied the scroll, he could not help but wonder why Minato hadn't used this seal instead of the other two. If he had used this, perhaps he would not have needed to split the fox, and both him and Kushina, or at least one of them, would be alive today. If this thing had been sitting in the Uzumaki library, why hadn't it been used? Or perhaps it had been in the Senju compound. If so, it was understandable, why hadn't it been found? While technically Naruto would have no access to Senju grounds with Tsunade alive, the Hokage had given him leave to enter and explore. There was no sign of Tsunade at all for months now, and Sensei was growing irritable and restless. The old man had even confessed that if Tsunade would not be found soon, she would be declared a missing nin, and everything Senju-related, business or valuables within the village would be Naruto's. The Sannin shrugged and gently rolled up the paper. Are you done? The man sighed and looked to his right, where one bored Uchiha Sasuke was leaning against the wall, watching him with sharp eyes. Yes, I am. The Uchiha stepped away from his spot and stretched out a waiting hand. Then, hand it over. Naruto asked me to place it safely away and intend to do so. The Gama Sennin gave him the scroll, but didn't release it. Where are you planning to take it? He almost added Kito the end, but from how Naruto reacted, he'd rather not see the Uchiha's reaction. My summons will guard it, he answered bluntly. He studied the genin for a moment, but then released the scroll. The Uchiha nodded at him, satisfied, and then turned on his heels. You are no guest of ours, please leave. I'm sure Ototo will seek you at a later time, at his convenience. Then, without waiting for an answer, he strode away. The Sannin remained sitting in the living room, alone, and wondered what those two were made of. And this is the Rasengan. Spiraling sphere, Jiraiya stated, nodding towards the solid ball of chakra in his hand. After the rocky start they'd made up, and the Sannin started dropping in to help getting ready for the finals. This was the first jutsu the man had shown him, and seeing it brought back several memories. This jutsu, created by his father no less, seemed to be a simple version of Hisaminami Hashira, which was funny, because before his seal's replacement, he'd been working on remastering said jutsu. What did you say? How did Yondaime-sama come up with this? Sasuke asked, studying the ball. Jiraiya huffed and allowed the ball to fade. Minato studied the workings of Bijudama. But, why are you even here? This was supposed to be alone time for me and my godson. And this jutsu is not for your eyes. Sasuke's eyes narrowed and Naruto huffed, stepping between the two, before they could start arguing. Despite slowly making up, his brother still felt like dismembering the Toad Summoner. Better not risk another attempt on the Uchiha's part. He's my brother and this is his home as well. Naruto said. He may stay and watch, if he wishes. Besides, I'm terrible with chakra control and mostly, shape transformation. Sasuke pointed out. This thing is mostly shape manipulation, like the Uzumaki Hiden. I may understand how it is created, but that does not mean I will be able to create it myself. You don't have to worry about me copying it. And even if I did copy it, I would ask Naruto first if I could use it, since it's his father's jutsu. Naruto's lips twitched upwards in amusement. Never once did Sasuke use the word invention, like Jiraiya. Sasuke was having way too much fun with this, the blonde decided. A part of him wished he could form Aminomi Hashira and show the Sannin that he has his own, stronger version. Your chakra control is better now. Since the redesign of my seal, you had an entire army of clones working on your control and it's been weeks ago. Kurama pointed out. You should be able to do it. Show him. Naruto almost rolled his eyes at Kurama. Do you want him to have a cardiac arrest, Ni-sama? It will be shocking enough for him, that I can do this thing without the 3 steps he'd mentioned, because I know the theory and how to manipulate my chakra. Oh, come no Ashura. Just a little fun. Show him you're even better than Minato. It's only because I've already lived a life, the Jinchuriki stated matter-of-factly. So, are you taking Atri, Naruto? The man asked, breaking him from his conversation with his eldest brother. Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who was nodding and smirking. Oh damn 'em all. Maybe he preferred the time, when Indra and the Biju couldn't get along. If he showed his jutsu to their senseis and the Sannin, the Toad Sage could actually end up with a cardiac arrest. Sasuke raised a challenging eyebrow and Naruto grunted. But, they'd thrown subtlety out the window anyway, after the Mizuki incident. He turned back to the Sannin and grinned. Now, let me show you something. I've been working on this for a while. In fact, this was the jutsu why I said, I need better control. It's not completely stable yet, so I can't use it in combat, but I had the theory of it for ages, which isn't even Ali, considering he'd lived his first life at the dawn of chakra, he actually found time to work on it after the second round. Jiraiya studied him curiously and nodded. Alright, show me. Then, I'll teach this one to you and perhaps we can figure out how to stabilize your own little invention, if it's combat effective. Sasuke snorted from his spot under the tree, where he was sitting, stroking Shiro. It's combat effective for sure, he muttered. Ni-sama, he said sharply and Sasuke just shrugged. Naruto huffed and glanced at the 3 senior shinobi. When he was sure they were paying attention, he gathered his chakra in his hands and cupped them together. Then, as he pulled them apart, the barrier formed with the massive ball of chakra inside it. Then the ball split into 5 smaller ones, resembling Rasengan, but then the chakra got destabilized and Naruto had to pull his hands away, stopping the chakra flow, to prevent the whole thing from blasting his head off. The blue energy dispersed with a big gust of wind and he sighed. I call it Tamanomi Hashira, pillar of heaven, he said. As you can see, I haven't managed to stabilize it yet. If I had kept up the chakra flow, it would have blown up, so it needs some more work, but... There was a thud, see his sentence off. Naruto blinked and focused his eyes back on the 3 teachers. Kakashi and Yamato had saucer-sized eyes and Yamato was gaping, probably Kakashi too, but it wasn't visible because of his mask, and Jiraiya was passed out, fingers twitching now and then, as if he'd been hit by a Raiten jutsu. Oh. Did I give him a cardiac arrest? He panicked loudly, crouching next to the man with hands glowing green. Someone get a medic, the Shinju damn it. You're a medic in the house, Ototo. Sasuke murmured, none too concerned. Naruto cursed colorfully, while Kurama was laughing his ass off inside the seal. Jiraiya perched on the windowsill of the Hokage office, looking at his sensei. Did you know our resident Senju Uzumaki was a genius? Probably even bigger genius than his father. Is that so? His sensei asked with a raised eyebrow. The Sannin grunted. I wanted to teach him the Rasengan, but he's beat me. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? He's been working on a jutsu of his own, before we changed his seal. He showed it to me today. He used only chakra and shape manipulation. He created a chakra barrier with a big Rasengan inside it, then, the Rasengan split into 5 smaller ones. He said that upon contact, the barrier would blow up first, letting the other part of the technique continue towards the target. It's still incomplete, as it got destabilized halfway, but, damn him. I wanted to teach him something, which was a genius invention of his father's and he goes and does something 10 times better, without knowing what the hell Rasengan looked like. His sensei hummed, surprise flickering trough his aged features. Genius indeed. Have you spoken to him about the summoning? The Sannin sighed. He'd wanted the blonde to be his heir, but it seemed Naruto was already paving his own path in the world, side by side with his Uchiha brother. He has deer summons and the Uchiha has wolves. He declined my offer of working with the toads and then he summoned his familiar. Shirotsuno, I think was the name. He tapped his chin. I honestly thought those contracts had been lost to time. I wonder how those 2 had come to possess them. Perhaps they had an affinity for those clans and they did summoning without contract. If so, that would explain how they signed contracts that had been lost to humans since before the founding. Maybe, the spy agreed. But those are powerful and ancient clans. All for tradition and property. I wonder with what had they impressed the bosses. Have you tried asking them? Jiraiya grunted. Yes, and the two of them were even more cryptic than the Great Toad Sage, which is a feat in itself. Kakashi couldn't help but wonder once more. Naruto's jutsu was surely an impressive one. It was like Minato Sensei's, yet it seemed to be an improved, more powerful version. And let him not mention the seal the Jinchuriki had redesigned for himself. Sure, probably using some old Uzumaki technique, which had been written down, but still. Kakashi had been hailed as a prodigy of his generation and he had been good. But not his good. Senpai. Kakashi glanced at Yamato. Yes, you know, it can't help but think. I'm happy and proud we have such talented students. But it's also strange that they are so good. And mature. And considerate. Composed. Things that kids their age usually aren't. You're not the only one who keeps wondering, and the more time passes, the more I lean towards my insane theory of reincarnation or whatever. Yamato sighed. And the more time passes, the more I agree with that theory of yours. Sasuke stared at his little brother. Are you sure you want us to tell Kakashi and Yamato? Naruto hummed. They surely suspect something by now. We've been a team for months. I didn't say we include the Hokage and Jiraiya, but the two, we've known them for ages. They'd been even among our Anbu guard. And as careful as we are, they'd surely noticed that we aren't like others our age. Let's face it, we haven't even met our former classmates, outside of the exam. From what I've heard, the others met up a few times between graduation and the exam. The Uchiha sighed. Fine. I'll bring them here and you get one of the rooms completely private. We don't need anyone overhearing this. Naruto nodded and disappeared into the house. Sasuke took a deep breath and then jumped onto the rooftops, stretching his sensory, to look for the two Jonin, who were like older siblings, parental cousins, by now. With how close they were, Sasuke supposed Naruto's desire was justified. A part of him wanted the two to know, too. So they could discuss things without fear. Besides, the two were talented and experienced shinobi, experienced in this time. He was sure they could benefit from the two being aware of the situation. He came to a sudden halt, when he sensed the two enter his sensing range. Oh, west to him. He changed directions and landed on the street, from where he felt their signatures. Some civilians looked at him startled, but he ignored them. Kakashi-sensei. Yamato-sensei. He called, walking towards the two. The two older shinobi stopped and turned to look at him. What brings you here, Sasuke? Yamato asked. Now or never, he told himself. We'd like to speak with you in private. Do you have time? The two shared a curious look before they nodded. Naruto was done with the privacy seals by the time Sasuke made it back with their senseis. He'd chosen the empty room, which they didn't use, as it was the smallest and, despite being out of use, comfortably furnished. When the three sat down, Naruto flared his chakra, activating the seals, momentarily basking the room in blue-yellow glow. Once he was sure the seals were in effect, he sat next to Sasuke, facing the two older shinobi. What are those privacy seals for, Naruto? Kakashi asked. What we're about to tell you is important and might be, at a later time, potentially dangerous. Especially if others get wind of this. So we thought this conversation should be shinobi-proof, kind of private. Naruto answered. So we need you to promise, no, to swear never to tell anyone. Sasuke said. Kakashi and Yamato glanced at each other and then they nodded. We swear. Naruto smiled, feeling their honesty. He nodded to Sasuke, who held up both of his hands. Well then, take our hands. Naruto grabbed Sasuke's and his free one grabbed Yamato's. Sasuke held Kakashi's and their senseis also joined hands, creating Atani circle. I'll cast a Genjutsu, which will show a few of Naruto's memories. Let the memories play out and then, you can ask your questions. Alright. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and then his chakra spiked. Jiken no Kagami, Kako's Mirror of Time, Past Life. The chakra dragged him down into Naruto's mindscape, which, unsurprisingly, was as sunny and warm as the blonde's personality, but they also saw many pictures whirl around them, too fast to be clearly seen. Sasuke's chakra spiked again, his Sharingan whirling. Kako's, Otsutsuki Asura. Past life, Otsutsuki Asura. Naruto saw surprise flicker trough their sensei's faces at the name, but before they could even utter a word, the memories started playing. They saw a big room, made of fine material, but nowhere near as modern as these days. It was obvious that the memory was from someone's perspective. Ni-chan. In a Ni-chan. Can we go and play outside? A childish voice asked, running closer to Asukon's figure. It was a boy with the dark brown, spiky hair and dark brown eyes. He wore a simple kimono top with magatama adorning it and black pants. The older chuckled and nodded. Yes, we'll just have to tell Oto-sama. I'm sure Shukaku-ni-sama wouldn't mind coming with us. Don't you agree, Asu-chan? He stood from where he'd been sitting, taking his brother's hand. The younger pouted. Don't call me Asu-chan. I'm too old for that now. Of course you are, Ototo. Of course you are. The scene burled before it changed. They saw the same long-haired boy from before, although he was older now and he was relaxing on the grass, enjoying the sun. The younger crept closer and poured something on his brother's head, causing the other to jolt up. What the? Dark brown eyes narrowed. Asura, what is that? He cried indignantly, trying to get the white paste out of his long hair. Asura laughed. Got you, Indra-ni-san. Indra stood up and poured the remnants of the paste over Asura's head, which caused the picture to go black for a bit, before it was back. Indra-kun. Asura-kun. A third, older voice called. Both boys turned towards the voice. It was a man with reddish-brown spiky hair, dressed in similar clothes as Indra. But his most distinctive features were the small horns in his head and the purple eyes, which had concentric rings. Oto-sama. Indra greeted, throwing a look at his brother. The man, now identified as the boy's father, chuckled. Get cleaned in the river, boys. It's time for dinner. Hi. The scene changed once more, this time to a forest. Come on, Shiro. Where you've gone off to? Asura called. There was a whine and rustling leaves and a big boar appeared. Asura cried out and staggered back, as a massive boar appeared, setting its gaze on Asura. The small brown-white dog jumped in front of the frightened boy and then right at the boar. But the puppy was no match for the bigger animal. Asura. Indra appeared from the bushes, just in time to see as the puppy was wounded by the boar. Shiro. Indra called in panic, as he jumped next to his brother. He crowded the now unmoving puppy. They saw a tear escape Indra's eye and then as he looked up again at his brother, and then glaring at the boar, his eyes would be red. Red with a Tomo each, an active Sharingan. The scene whirled and they were in what seemed to be a small village, although not much could be seen, as it was burly. And there were soft sobs and sips heard too. Asura was crying. As the boy stumbled through the village with tears in his eyes, there were a few people, who looked up, whispering about what might have reduced the sunny son of the great Hagoromo-sama to tears. He wasn't even paying attention to where he was going so he collided with someone. He took a step back. Gomen na. Ototo. A concerned voice called. Asura wiped his tears away and looked up. It was his brother. With his long hair in a cylinder, the top short and two stands wrapped in cloth and dressed in the usual high-collared kimono of their family, he looked regal. Every inch the air he was. Indra-ni-sama, he greeted softly. Gomen. Why are you crying, Asura? He asked. It's nothing, the younger murmured. Indra's dark brown eyes narrowed. You're an awful liar, Ototo. Besides, we both know what Oto-sama said about lying. Indra chastised lightly. What happened? Asura didn't answer and looked away. Indra walked closer. Asura, he warned softly. He said you don't care anymore. That you don't love me. It's why you're away so often. Indra growled, his Sharingan flaring, this time with all three Tomo in the eyes. Who dares event suggesting he didn't love you? Asura looked up, gasping in shock. Enni-sama. Indra messed up his hair and leaned closer. You're my greatest treasure, Ototo, no matter how clumsy you are or how mischievous. Now, tell me, who said such things? Tell me so I can tell them what do I think about them spreading such lies. Those who lie, have no place here, under Oto-sama's protection. Asura sniffed, leaning further into Indra's touch. Kaji. It was Kaji and his friends. Indra's Sharingan spun, promising vengeance. Go to my room, Ototo. I shall be there shortly. The scene whirled around, changing. This time the two sons sat in front of their father, dressed in traveling gear. The Sennin's eyes settled on his sons, before he addressed the room. From this day forwards, Ashura is the heir of Ninshu. Colors passed again, like a flowing river, changing the scene. The two sons were facing each other, chakra whirling around them, uprooting nature all around. Ni-sama, why are you doing this? Please, come back to us. Come back. To that man. He disregarded me and took my birthright. I'm the older. I should have been the heir of Ninshu. Indra delivered a blow, which Ashura just barely caught, but there was an explosion of white. The white slowly took shape. The shape of flames, radiating immense heat. The great Atsutuki compound was now burning with blue-white fire. Asura-kun, what is this? A deep rumbling voice asked in panic. Asura's eyes shifted and fell on his brother. Shukaku ni-sama. Warn the others. Indra's flames are spreading. I need Isabu, Saiken and Gyuki to help me. Now. The great Tanuki nodded and turned to hurry away. Meanwhile, Asura molded his chakra, releasing a torrent of water. For a moment, the scene was taken completely by the clear blue of water, all sound drowned by the splashing of waves. When it was clear once more, a massive battlefield could be seen. The terrain around them was nothing but charred ruins by now. All traces of life had long disappeared, the animals had fled during the first few clashes, and the more jutsu they aimed at one another, the more they damaged the surrounding flora. Not that Indra cared too much for the flora and fauna of the place. Asura groaned, as he stood and pain jolted trough his body. Years now, they'd been fighting with Indra for years now, but the promise he'd made to his father, on his still rang clearly in his ears. Indra was his brother. He will not leave his brother to forever be drowned in darkness and hate. No. He still remembered the loner, but loving Indra, whose greatest treasure was their small family. True, he had his own family now, a loving wife and children, but Indra. Indra was his brother, his role model, his treasure. He will not leave him behind. He was tired. They'd been fighting for, he didn't even know how long. The chakra his Biju siblings had lent him was now gone, only small sparks of it remaining, covering his body in asheen of gold, helping increase his healing. But even that was fading fast. He had come to his powers over the years with hard training, but Indra was still powerful and knew most of his moves. Besides, the Sharingan's predictive abilities were tricky to work around. Time to finish this, Indra growled, as he leapt forwards. He gathered his remaining strength and met his brother in the middle of the field. Indra was fast, but he was tired and much less precise than before. Ni-sama, why? I'm sorry. It was Zetsu. Ik know that now, Illuston to his sweet whispers of power, and look what happened. This be. We cursed our families to war. Indra. But the older fell, his body still, eyes closing slowly. Asura staggered as well, falling next to his brother. I should have seen it. I should have stopped you. The pictures froze and disappeared, leaving the four people standing inside Naruto's mindscape in complete silence. Sasuke blinked, fighting his tears, and flared his chakra to force the pictures away, breaking his own jutsu and leaving them in the eerie quiet clearing. The boys turned to their teachers, waiting for a reaction. There was none. The older just stood there, wide-eyed and obviously speechless. Do you understand? Sasuke whispered. Do you understand now, who we are? By the sage's beard. Yamato choked out. Even when they were back in the real world, everyone inside their own the two older shinobi were speechless. Holy crap, and the sage's beard. Kakashi murmured. The boys glared at him. Please refrain from such words, sensei. Sasuke said warningly. That man was once our father once, and I didn't think you'd be happy if people used your father for swearing. For you, he is a legend in this time, but for us, he was very mukreal. Gamen. Kakashi muttered with a sheepish chuckle. Bad habit. So, it's indeed reincarnation, as we suspected? Yamato asked. Naruto hummed. Yes, so you've suspected. Since when? I overheard you speaking with your summons after the wave mission. Kakashi said. Then I noticed small things, and then he told Yamato. The more we paid attention to those small things, the more suspicious everything was. But reincarnation is a bit far-fetched, even in the world of shinobi, so. I admit, I kind of thought it was going mad or something. Gamen, sensei. Naruto chuckled. Well, now you know you aren't going mad and that it's true. Is this was the Kyuubi kept calling you Indra and Ashura? Yamato asked. Sasuke hummed. Yes. The 9 Biju are in fact, our older siblings, as Oto-sama created them before our births. Nani? The 2 Jonin shrieked. Are you serious? Kakashi asked, his single eye wide. Naruto hummed and nodded. Serious. We're one big family, the Biju, Oto-sama, Indra here, he jabbed Sasuke, and Milf. Oh, and let's not forget Hamura Oji-sama and his daughters. Are you going to say that your uncle is another famous person? Yamato asked with a deadpan. Oji-sama moved away from Earth with the other members of the Otsutsuki clan, after order was established in the world. But his daughters had families here. In fact, they formed great clans too. The older became the progenitor of the Kaguya clan and the younger's descendants formed the Hyuga clan. Kakashi and Yamato both groaned. By the sage's beard. Yamato-sensei. Naruto huffed, eyes narrowing on the other Mokuton user. Yamato blinked and then smiled sheepishly. Gomen, Naruto. So, Kakashi murmured, does this mean we have to call you, Indra-sama, and, Asura-sama, and go about bowing, like your summons do? Naruto hummed. Well, the 2 older shared a look, but then Naruto laughed. Hell, no, you 2 are like family. Besides, Sasuke said, we're as much Naruto and Sasuke, as much Asura and Indra. Plus, you 2 are like family by now, as Naruto said. Our summons call us by those names only because they'd recognized us. We'd signed our contracts in our previous life and those 2 clans are ones for tradition. And we had earned their respect, as much as they had earned ours. So, if I looked at a contract, I wouldn't find Senju Uzumaki Naruto on the list, but Otsutsuki Asura. Yamato asked. Pretty much, the blonde nodded. But, why did you reincarnate? And remember? Kakashi asked. The 2 shared a look and then Sasuke sighed. Well, there's this Uchiha and well 2 of them, who controlled Kyuubi, oh and they have this utterly, and completely mad plan to release our grandmother, Otsutsuki Kaguya-hime from her prison in the moon, whom you could call a goddess, with all the power she has. And she kind of wants to destroy the world and then reshape it into her own image, making humanity her S. Kakashi and Yamato shared a look, a single thought flashing trough their minds. That's not in the job description for Shinobi, so I need a freaking raise. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.